Hi everyone, welcome back to our class. Again, this is Teacher Kina, and for today we will continue our topic, decimals. All right. In this lesson, we will focus more on rounding decimal numbers, comparing decimal numbers, and ordering decimal numbers. All right. So in this lesson, we'll be able to round off decimal numbers. We have discussed rounding off numbers before, but it's with whole numbers. But this time, we'll be dealing with decimal numbers. And we'll also be able to identify lesser and greater decimals and order decimals in ascending and descending order. All right, so for the keywords, you'll be using the words ascending order. That means arrange from the smallest to the largest number. Descending order is the opposite of ascending order, arrange from the largest to the smallest. And round off, that means making a number simpler, but keeping its value close to what it is. Okay, it's either to round up or to round down. So in order to add, subtract, multiply numbers, it's easier to do that if we round it up. And so we can just um, calculate the answers mentally, right? So let's proceed. All right, so we need to, before proceeding, we have to review first the place value of our decimals. Okay, so in here you see after the decimal point, it's where we find the decimal numbers after the decimal point. So after the decimal point, the first digit is the tenths, the second digit is the hundredths, and the third digit is the thousands. So here are the three digits after the decimal points that we'll be discussing in this lesson. So don't forget, because we will be using these place values in rounding of numbers. Okay, so here are the rules in rounding off numbers. It's the same rules with the whole numbers and with the decimals. So let's see. The first one is decide which is the last digit to keep. So let's say there are 5 digits, then you should decide until where should you keep the number, and then the rest will be zero. So that's decide which is the last digit you have to keep. The second rule is if the next digit is less than 5, that can be 0 to 4, then you have to leave the number the same and the rest of the numbers to the right 0. Okay, so that means the next digit after the digit that you have to keep. The third is if the next digit is 5 to 9, increase the number by 1 and the rest of the numbers to the right 0. So we're talking about the the last digit that you have to keep. The next digit after that, if it's 5 or more than 5, then you have to add 1 on the last digit. So anyway, we have discussed this one already before, but we will refresh that one today, but with decimal numbers. Anyway, they're just the same. Okay, so here we have 16,584. This is a whole number. Okay, this is just to refresh in your memory with our previous topic. Okay, because they're just almost the same with the decimals. So anyway, 16,584, this is a whole number. We will round this up to the nearest hundred. Okay, where is the hundreds place here? Since this is, we will round this up to the nearest hundreds, then we have to find where is the hundreds place. 5 is in the hundreds place. So that means 165 should be kept. Okay, so we should write that here so you will not be confused. 1, 6, and 5. Okay, that is 16,000. 5. and then 84 should become 0. Yeah, but remember the second rule. If the next digit, okay, we're talking about 8 here, the next digit after 5, since 5 is the hundreds, is more than 5 or 5 above, then we have to add 1 with a 5. So we have to add, look here, since 8 is more than 5, then we have to add 1 with the 5. So 5 here becomes 6. Oops. 5 here becomes 6. So becomes 6. So we round off 16,584 to 16,600. That is the rounded number. That means 16,584 is closer to 16,600. That's why we added 1, because it's closer. So anyway, you have a background on this already, so I don't need to discuss further. Okay, so let's try another example. 41,725. Let's round this off to the nearest hundred. Again, which digit is in the hundreds place? It's the 7, right? So that means we will copy, or we will set behind the 4, 1, and 7 digits. But we have to decide also if we will add 1 or not to the 7, since 7 is in the hundreds place. Are we going to add 1 or just stay put to 7? In here, the next digit is 2, then that means you don't have to do anything with 7, because 0 to 4, that means X. That means you don't have to do anything with it. So we'll just copy 41,700. Okay, that's in the hundreds place. After the hundreds place, all zeros to the right, all numbers to the right, all digits to the right will become 0. So that means 41,725 is closer to 41,700. Yeah, so we round it down. We round it down to 700 instead of 800, because 800 is way too far from 700. Okay. Way too far from 725. So let's try another example. Here, thousands. Okay, where is the, what digit here is in the thousands place? It is digit 5. Okay, so that means we will stay put numbers 1, 3, and 5, or 135,000. But we have to decide if we will add 1 or not to 5 based on the next digit. Okay, the number here, next digit to the next to thousands place is 5. Then that means we have 2 plus 1. So that becomes 6. So 1, 3, 5 becomes 6 because we added 1. Okay, and then all the digits to the right will become 0. So that's how we round off this number. 135,529 is rounded up. Okay, not down. We rounded up because that's why we added 1, because we have to round it up, because 135,529 is closer to 136,000 than 135,000. Okay, so let's try this with decimals. Okay, let's round to the nearest whole number. Okay, where is the whole number here? 23. So that means we will round this off to the nearest whole number. There will be no decimals. Okay, so let's see. The whole number here is 23, but we have to decide, are we going to plus 1 to add 1 or not? Okay, the next digit is 7. And that means 5 above, you should add 1, right? You see, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. We have to add 1. So 23 becomes 24. So 23.7 is closer to 24. That's why we rounded it up, okay? Because it's more than half. 7 is more than half, more than 5. So that's it. Let's try another one, round off to the nearest whole number. Okay, so in here, you see the whole number is 4. So are we going to add 1 or not? The next digit is 0. Okay, never mind the following digits, the 999. Even if we put up here 10 more 9s, the next digit is still 0. So that means we will not do anything with the whole number. So that's just 4. Okay, so the answer here is just 4. Now how about 99.52? The whole number is 99. Are we going to add 1 or not? So look at the next digit. It's 5. So 5 to 9, we should add 1. So 99 plus 1 is 100. So that means 99.52 is closer to 100. So we rounded it up. How about 103.499? The whole number here is 103. Now, are we going to round up or round down? Based on the next digit, it's 4. So we have to round it down, or we don't do anything with the whole number. So let's just write the whole number 103. Okay, so that's it. We rounded it up and down to the nearest whole number. So when we have to round off to the nearest whole number, then that means there should be no decimals, no decimal points. Okay, so let's try to see round to the nearest tenths. So tenths, that means there should be one digit after the decimal point. So let's see in here, 2.38 or 2 and 38 hundredths. We have to round off to the nearest tenths. So tenths here is up to 3. So that means, are we going to round up or down? When we say round up, that means we have to plus 1. But if we say round down, just copy the numbers, right? So in here, based on the next digit, it's 8. And 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, we have to round up. You see the arrow up here? So that means we need to add 1, 2, 3. So that will be 2.4. Okay, so that up to tenths because we added 1 here. We round it up. Okay, next, 45.409 thousandths. Let's round this to the nearest tenths. Tenths is only up to 4. So are we going to round up or down? So based on the next digit is 0. So that means we have to round down. So just copy and we'll not add 1. Okay, because we're rounding it down. So it's 45.4 or 45 and 4 tenths. So that's it. Okay, how about 13.51 thousandths? Okay, so tenths is up to 0. Are we going to round up or down? The next digit is 5, and according to the rule, 5 above should be rounded up. So we need to add 1. So this becomes 13 points because we need to add 1 with a 0 so that it will be 13.1. So that's it. Now let's try rounding to the nearest hundredths. Okay. So here is the given number, 21.388 thousandths. So hundredths is up to 8. 100 should have 2 digits after the decimal point. So are we going to round up or down? According to the next digit, we should round up because 8 means round up. 5, 6, 7, 8. So we will add 1 with the 8. So the answer here is 21,000, I mean 21.39. Okay, that becomes 9 because we added 1. Okay, next, we rounded it up. Round to the nearest hundreds. Hundreds is until 0. So are we going to round up or down? Based on the next number, 9, we should round up. So that means we will add 1. Add 1 to the hundreds place. So that will be 145 as a whole number, point 40, 0 becomes 1. So that's it, hundreds, hundreds. Now let's try the last one, 103.05199. Okay, if there are more than 3 digits after the decimal point, then you can just name the numbers, the digits one by one. 0, 5, 1, 9, 9, 6, 3, 2, 5, 8, like that. Okay. So the hundreds place is up to 5. Are we going to round up or round down? Based on the next number 1, we should round down. Round down means we'll not do anything with this. We'll just copy 103 point, copy 0, 5, and then make all the digits to the right 0, 0. Okay, that's it. This one 0, 0. This one 0. So that's how to round to the nearest hundreds. Okay, after the decimal, you write 0. I mean, after you round up to the given place, after that, make the numbers to the right 0. So that's it. Now let's round off the following numbers. We have here whole number, tenths, and hundreds. Remember, tenths is 1 divided by 10, and hundreds is 1 divided by 100. So that's how we write this in fraction, 1 over 10 and 1 over 100. Anyway, let's proceed with the rounding off. Okay, let's round off to the whole number. The whole number here is 7. So are we going to round up or down? Based on the next number, we will round down. So just copy 7. Okay, or if you want to write a 0, 0, 0, 0, 0. Okay, but if you don't write a 0, then that's fine. Okay, round off. Let's start with the whole numbers first. 10.529 thousandths. Whole number is 10. Are we going to round up or down? Based on the next number, 5, we will round up. So 10 plus 1, then that's 11. That's it. Round off to the nearest whole number. The whole number is 250. Are we going to round up or down? Based on the next digit, 0, we will round down. So we'll just copy 250. Then that's it. Okay, now let's try tenths. Let's erase this one first. Okay, so you will not be confused. Okay, tenths. Where is the tenths place? Okay, in here, tenths is up to 1, right? So are we going to round up or down? Based on the next digit 2, we will round down. Okay, because 2 is closer to 1. So we'll not do anything with this. Just copy 7.1, or you can write 0, 0. So that's it. How about the next digit? The tenths here is up to 5. So are we going to round up or down? Again, it's 2. So we will round down. So it's 10 point. Round down, that means you just copy the number and then write 0, 0. All right. So how about this? The last one. The last digit is, the 10th place is up to 0. So are we going to round up or down? You see it's 1, so we will round down. So just copy 250.0, 0, 0, 0. If you don't want to put the 0 after the decimal point, then that's fine. But you cannot remove the 0 with the whole numbers. Okay, you can remove the zeros in decimals, but you cannot remove zeros with the whole numbers because 250 is different from 25. Okay, so next, hundreds. Let's round this off to the nearest hundreds. Let's erase first so you will not be confused again. Okay, here, hundreds. When we say hundreds, there should be 2 digits after the decimal point. So in here, 1, 2, that's the hundreds. So are we going to round up or round down? Based on the next digit, we will round down. 3, 1, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, round down. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, round up. So when we say round up, you plus 1, you add 1. But round down, don't do anything. Just copy and add 0. So 7.1, 2, and then change 3 to 0. That's it. How about the next one? Hundreds place is up to 2 because there should be 2 digits after the decimal point. So are we going to round up or down? Based on the next digit, it's 9. And 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 says you have to round up. So when we say round up, that means you have to add 1. So that becomes, add 1 with the number, the digit on the hundreds place. So that becomes 10.5. I'm sorry, with my point, it becomes a comma. All right, that's 0.5. Now, 2 plus 1 is 3. So 0.53 hundredths. So that's it. And you can write 0 if you want. Okay, next. Round up to the nearest hundreds. Hundreds is up to 1. So are we going to round up or down? Again, the next digit is 9. And 9 says you have to round up. So we have to add 1 again with the last digit or the digit on the hundreds place. So that's 250.0. Okay, that's 1 plus 1 is 2. 0.2. That's it. And then add 0 if you want. So that's how to round off numbers. Easy, right? It's almost the same with the whole numbers. Okay, but with the decimals, after the decimal point, if the numbers after the digits are 0, you can just remove the 0. Okay. So here, which measurement is add 1 out? That means the different one. Okay, we'll choose which one is the add 1 out. So the first digit we have here is, the first number is 7 meters. So that's a whole number, right? That means we will try to round off these numbers to a whole number. So we'll see which one is different. So 6, the next digit is 9. So we will round this up to 7. So the whole number here is 7. Okay, they are the same, correct? How about this? The next digit is 5. Then that means we will round this up to 7. Again, it's 7. Then they are correct. How about this? Round whole number is 7. The next digit is 4. So are we going to round up or down? We will round down because 1, 2, 4 says we have to round it down, so it's still 7. Okay, so still correct, the same. How about this? 7, the whole number is 7. The next digit is 5, and 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 says you have to round up, so you have to add 1. So this becomes 8. So which one is the odd one out here? The odd one out in this group of numbers is 7.5 meters. So you're out. All right, so that's how to identify um, measurements, odd one in this group by rounding off the numbers. All right. So now we'll proceed with ordering and comparing decimals. Okay, we have this ordering and comparing numbers before, but again with the whole numbers. But this time we will deal with decimals. So with comparing, we have three symbols that we use. We have greater than, equal, and the less than. Okay. Always remember the alligator always eats the bigger number, okay, the greater one. So if the greater number faces is on the left side, then the symbol that we will use is the greater than. But if the greater number is on the right side, then the symbol that we use is the less than. But if both numbers are the same, then equal. Okay, we don't need to discuss further this one because I guess you know this already. So let's proceed. Which is larger, zero point 0.5 or 0.05? What do you think? Okay, so here, 0.5, remember 5 is in the tens place and 0.05 is in hundreds, right? So here, you see on the figure, this is tenths and this is hundreds. Okay, divided into 10, divided into hundreds. So let's see which one is bigger. So let's start with the tenths, 5 tenths. So let's mark the 5 tenths, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's the 5 tenths. It's of uh, half of the figure because this is tenths, right? And half of 10 is 5. So let's see with the hundreds. It says 5 hundredths. Tenths, there is no tenths here, so we will not mark anything with tenths, but 5 hundredths. So let's mark 5 hundredths. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's how 5 hundredths look like. So by just looking at the figure, can you say which one is greater, which one is larger? Of course, 0.5 or 5 tenths is greater than 5 hundredths. Okay, but we don't always have the figures when identifying which decimal is greater or lesser. So it's important to know how to identify numbers and compare numbers even without figures to be seen. Okay, so here, to be able to do that, you have to understand this one. You see here the decimal point, right? So that means all the numbers to the left is the whole number. The first number to the right, to the left is the ones place. The second is the tens place, and the third is the hundreds place. Now to the right, the first digit is the tenths, right? The second is hundreds, and the third is thousands. But you have to understand that in this case, the numbers on the right, the decimal numbers, is lesser than the the whole numbers. Okay, then that means each of these values is 10 times greater than the next place. So let's start with the thousands. Thousands place is 10 times greater, 10 times lesser than the hundreds place. So that means 1,000 times 10 is 100. And 100 times 10 is 1/10. You see, that means tenths is greater than hundreds and thousands. Hundreds is greater than thousands, but lesser than tenths. Do you see it? That's what I want you to understand here. Tenths is greater than hundreds, and hundreds is greater than thousands. The same with the whole numbers. Hundreds is greater than tens, and tens is greater than ones. 10 times greater. Okay, and if you move to the right, then divide to find the lesser. 10 times lesser. Let's say 100, 100 divided by 10 equals 10. 10 divided by 10 equals 1. 1 divided by 10 equals 1/10. 1/10 divided by 10 is 100ths. 100ths divided by 10 is 1,000ths. Okay? Then if we try to multiply 1,000ths times 10 is 100ths. That's the same way we did a while ago. Okay, so I hope you understand. Left side is greater than the right side. Okay, so if you want to identify which fraction, which decimal is greater, you look at their place value, like what we're going to do here. Okay, this is what we did a while ago. Okay, so let's try to compare, but before that, let's refreshen the steps in comparing decimal numbers. In comparing decimal numbers, line up the numbers according to their place value. Okay, you see here, to be able to line up the numbers in their place value, make sure their decimal points are aligned. So then that means they are aligned according to their place value. So in here, you see 12 is both whole number, 3 is the tenths, 0 and 9 is the hundredths. Okay, that's the first step, line up the numbers. Okay, line up the numbers. If you're confused with the place value, line up the decimal points. Okay, focus on the points. Next, compare the numbers in each place starting on the largest place. Again, as I've said a while ago, the largest place is on the left side. So that means when you compare numbers, you start from the left going to the right. So in this case, we already aligned the decimal points. That means they are already aligned according to their place value. Now let's compare the numbers starting on the largest place. Then that means the largest place here is tens. Okay, so 1 and 1, they're equal. We cannot decide yet. 2 and 2, again equal. Now tenths place, 3 and 3, again the same, again equal. So we cannot decide yet which one is greater, but on the hundredths place, it's 0 and 9. So even if you see there are only 2 digits after the decimal point, but the hundredths place is 9, and the other number, even if it has 3 digits after the decimal point, but the hundredths place is 0, then that means this number is still smaller. Okay, smaller. So that means 12.39 is greater than 12 0.12 and 308 thousandths. Okay, so let's try another example. So 65 and 38 hundredths and 65.3999. Is it more than or less than? Okay, first step, align these numbers according to their place value. So look at their decimal points. They're aligned. Focus on the decimal points. If they're aligned, then that means their digits is already aligned according to their place value. So let's start with 6 equal 5, ones place equal, tens place equal, hundredths place, 9 is greater than um, 9 is greater than 8. So the answer here is less than. Yeah, because this is greater. This is greater. 9 is greater. Okay, so let's proceed to the next one. Step 1, align the decimal points. Next, compare from the largest to the smallest. The largest place here is tens. Um, yeah, tens. So here, there is no tens place with the other number. So that's obviously shows that 11 is greater than 2. So it's less than. How about this one? Step 1, align the decimal points. Okay. Now compare. Step 2, compare from the largest place value. So it's 5. Ones place is equal. Tens place is equal. Hundreds place. 1 is greater than 0. So 5.01 or 5 and 1 hundredths is greater than 5 and 9 thousandths. All right. So you see, after the decimal point, tens is greater than hundreds and greater than thousandths. Okay. So let's try ordering numbers. In ordering numbers, we do this